it is Julian Jackson, and welcome to the tour on the Adair Park neighborhood. Right now, I am standing in Adair Park 2, not 1, but 2. And if you can imagine, Adair Park has 2 parks, 1 and 2. All right, so number one, I want to thank y'all so much for tuning in to any of these YouTube videos. I'm starting to get contacted by people who are finding this information incredibly helpful, getting contacted by people who are actually looking at purchasing homes and also selling homes in the Atlanta area. So I want to thank you for that. As you know, all my information is in the description. I have videos on Florida Heights, West End, English Avenue, Bankhead. There's multiple videos and there's more videos coming. So I want to thank y'all again for subscribing, liking. It really means a lot. These videos take a lot of time, but I'm enjoying it. So it's cool. All right, so like I said before, we're at Adair Park 2. If you look behind me right here, there's a basketball court, some folks playing basketball. There's a playground right over here, and right now we are on the baseball field. Today, we are going to be covering the residential side of real estate. We're going to be covering the commercial side of real estate. We're going to be checking out a little bit more of the park, and it's going to be a good time. I hope, again, that y'all enjoy the ride. Let me know if you want me to focus on any neighborhoods next. For the people who are asking these things, I'm actually prioritizing those videos. So if you want to see something on a West Side neighborhood that you really are interested in, write it in the comments or send me a message and I will prioritize making that video. All right. Well, let's get into it. Adair Park has seen so many changes since I first started selling real estate in the 2014 time period. It's now been 10 years. It's crazy. When I first got into real estate, it was November 4th of 2014. So I'm at 10 years now. Oh, anyways, with Adair Park, in the 2016 time period, things were selling around, we'll say $50,000 up to about the mid to lower $200,000 range. Fast forwarded to 2024, things are selling on the low end, residential detached, $200,000, and it's going all the way up to, let's just say, $700,000. Prices have changed dramatically in this 10-year period of time. I'm happy for the neighborhood. You know, there's a lot of people making equity in their homes. The buyer crop has changed tremendously, given that, you know, the properties went from that $200,000 maximum to $700,000. But that's essentially all of Atlanta. What do they say? They say a high tide raises all ships, and that's essentially what's going on here in Atlanta. I think it's going to be an interesting tour today. You're going to see homes that need a little bit of rehab. You're going to see homes that are in just straight and move-and ready condition. This could be a great tour. I appreciate y'all liking, subscribing, and I guess it's about time for us to hop in the vehicle and get into the tour. Let's go. All right, guys, this is going to be a good one. Let's not forget the seatbelt. Safety first. All right, so we are starting this off on Tift Avenue Southwest. While we're driving on Tift Ave, I want to talk to y'all a little bit about Adair Park. All right, so Adair Park is a community that is located in Southwest Atlanta, mostly in Southwest Atlanta. It is on the west side of Pittsburgh. It's on the east side of West End, Oakland City. It is north of Capitol View and Capitol View Manor, and it is south of several neighborhoods. I would say the most well-known is probably going to be the AUC area, but it's also pretty darn close to downtown as well. Now, some of y'all may be asking, what is the AUC? Well, I'm gonna let you know right now. The AUC is a consortium of 4 historically black colleges and universities, otherwise known as HBCU. And the colleges would be Clark Atlanta University, Morehouse College, Morehouse School of Medicine, and Spelman College. Regarding some of the other communities that Adair Park does touch, I have a video on the West End community. I'd recommend you to check it out. West End has a MARTA station that is super close to Adair Park, super walkable. And it is in West End, but I want to highlight this right now. I'm gonna throw a little heart on it or a star on it so you can see how close it is to Adair Park. But I recommend you check out that West End video if you have additional time and you want to learn about real estate in that neighborhood. Let's talk about Adair Park specifically. There's a lot of history on this neighborhood. One of the big things that I want to start off is letting you know that there are parts of Adair Park that has a historic district, and there are also parts of Adair Park that does not have a historic district. If you're unfamiliar with historic districts, you need to familiarize yourself with them before you decide to move in one of the neighborhoods, because you have the AUDC, the Atlanta Urban Design Commission, that is another essential roadblock in the permitting process. So if you are doing a renovation in the historic district, you have to have AUDC approval. If not, you will run into some major issues. Trust me, you do not want to run into those issues, especially if you are doing work on the exterior of your house. It needs AUDC approval. Well, about how old is the Adair Park community? Well, it was developed around the late 1800s to the mid 1900s. And Adair Park was developed as a small white working class neighborhood. By the 1950s and 1960s, you had the desegregation of housing, and black people started moving into community, which triggered white flight. And white flight is essentially, in Atlanta terms, white families selling their homes and moving north of the city. Around the time I was getting into real estate, in that 2014, 2016 time period, is when I started to see a lot of revitalization happening in the Adair Park community and also neighboring neighborhoods. And as you can see, going back to the prices in the neighborhood, things have changed dramatically from about that $50,000 price point for something not livable to $200,000 these days for something not livable. So things have changed a lot in a short period of time. So how did Adair Park get its name? Well, great question. It was named after George Washington Adair, and George Adair was a developer in the Atlanta area in the late 1800s. George Adair also was known as a racist, and as you can imagine, in the year 2024, that would be problematic. There was actually a school named after him, and it was called the George W. Adair School, constructed in 1912. And that building was renovated back in the 2017 time period. I actually remember when they began the work on the building, and they changed the name from George Adair School to the Academy Loss because of his reported ties to the KKK. All right, some final things about George Adair before we move on from this. George Adair was married to Mary Jane. They had 6 kids. He worked multiple jobs, but I would say the most prominent would be studying law. He also was involved with the newspaper and the railroad. He even ran for political office. A vast amount of his fortune came from real estate. He's actually known as one of Atlanta's builders. Regarding the war, he opposed the South's secession. He joined the Confederate cause. He was an aide-de-camp to General Nathan Bedford Forrest. I've even read that he owned slaves. So there are some positives to his life. There are also definitely some negatives, and I can totally understand why the neighborhood is wanting to clean that up. Also, I want to add that he is buried at Westview Cemetery, which is in Westview. If you want to check that video, I definitely recommend y'all to check out my Westview video. It's not necessarily on the cemetery, but it's on the neighborhood of Westview. So we are now driving on Aline Avenue Southwest. I want to thank y'all so much for liking and subscribing to my YouTube content. It's been a journey for sure, and I just appreciate y'all rolling with me and checking out my different videos, and I appreciate your comments. It's been very helpful, and I've actually prioritized doing certain videos because you have asked for it. So don't hesitate to ask for it. Don't hesitate to leave comments. Don't hesitate to like. Don't hesitate to subscribe. I really appreciate you. As we continue driving through the neighborhood, you probably noticed the homes are on the older side. It makes perfect sense why this area has a historic district. This street, Aline Avenue Southwest, does cross the Atlanta Beltline. So what we're going to do is we are going to pull over and check a little bit of the Beltline. Welcome to one of the biggest commercial booms in the Atlanta area for real estate. You're looking at waterfront property. At least that's what this sidewalk in the Atlanta area has done for a lot of these communities. Like I said earlier, the values in Adair Park were about $50,000 to $200,000, and now we're talking about $200,000 to $700,000. It's brought a lot of income and people who want to live near the Beltline. So that's been awesome. Really, on this side of the street, we're talking about Adair Park. On this side of the street, we're talking about Oakland City. So this Beltline serves as the boundary between these two neighborhoods. Right now, we're gonna take a walk, check out kind of how this section of the Beltline is. Some parts can be more residential and other sides can be more commercial. This side of the Beltline starts all the way in the Washington Park area and meanders its way all the way to Pittsburgh. On the other side, several miles of trails right now at Pittsburgh, going under the bridge onto the other side, other quadrant of Atlanta. There's currently work going on, but that is scheduled to be finished before the World Cup that is coming to Atlanta. That's supposed to be another big boom. So let's check out this section of the Beltline. We're not gonna go the whole thing, but we're gonna be able to see a good bit of it. So let's check it out. Adair Park is located on the west side trail of the Atlanta Beltline. I'm going to point it out to you right now just so you can see exactly in the area where Adair Park is on the Atlanta Beltline. As you can probably see as we're walking down the Atlanta Beltline, it is very residential over here. You may be able to see a bigger building further down the street. That's an apartment complex, a newer apartment complex. And that is actually in the neighborhood of Capitol View. But Capitol View's for another day. We are talking about Adair Park. So we are not going all the way down there for today's tour. Now that we've had a good amount of time to see some more of the Atlanta Beltline Trail, I want to take you to Adair Park I. I know we checked out Adair Park II a little bit earlier, but I think this is a great time to transition to check out Adair Park I. All right, y'all. We are now in Adair Park I. Earlier, we were at Adair Park II. That one is a little bit bigger of the park. At least that's what it looks like to me. That one has a baseball field and a playground and a tennis court and all that jazz. We are now at Adair Park I. Adair Park looks to be a smaller park. They have a playground right over here. There's some kids over there. I don't want to be that guy, so I'm over here away from the children. There's also a little walking trail, and on the other side there's a basketball court. So this is a cool area as well, but I did definitely want to bring you to both of the parks in the neighborhood. There's also some smaller parks here, but these are the two notable parks in the neighborhood. All right, now we had to get back in the car to go check out some of the commercial areas in the Adair Park area. Right now, I am driving down Metropolitan, or for the old school folks, before the Olympics, it used to be called Stewart Avenue. Interesting for some people who are interested in where Metropolitan ends or where it veers off. Right here at Wells Street Southwest, I'm going to point it out right about now. This street actually veers off to the left. If you continue like we're continuing, it is actually Northside Drive. So from Wells Street Southwest, Northside Drive becomes the new street. While we're hopping from Metropolitan to Murphy Avenue Southwest, I want to tell y'all about some of the notable businesses that are on Metropolitan. First off, we have the Met, we have Rodney Scott Barbecue, we also have Slim and Husky's Pizza. I've been to both the barbecue place and Slim and Husky's Pizza multiple times, really good, probably gone there too many times. There's also the Abrams Fixtures building. That building has not opened up yet, and I have not been inside of it, but I'm hearing positive things about it, and I can't wait to actually go. We are now at the Met. I want you to check out this pretty huge commercial development that's over here in Adair Park. As you're about to see, I had the greatest, and I mean the greatest speech right in front of the Met building, but my good old battery died. So I think it's pretty funny. I think I appreciate you staying tuned for all these different tours. I really appreciate y'all following and reaching out to me, subscribing, liking, all that jazz. As we're driving through the Met, I just want y'all to see that this area, it's a group of warehouses, businesses. There's some restaurants here. It's a accumulation of many different businesses. So check that out. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want me to focus on a particular neighborhood of yours, don't hesitate to write in the comments. Don't hesitate to like and subscribe. And thank you again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you're looking for an agent in the Atlanta area, don't hesitate to give me a call or send me an email or schedule an appointment. All my contact information is in the description. I've sold hundreds of homes in the Atlanta area, so don't hesitate to reach out. We would love to speak to you. You have now reached the end of the tour. Y'all have a great day.